We'll have people coming in, and it is being recorded, so if you want to hit yes when it prompts you. But yes, we'll wait just like one more minute to see if anybody else pops in, and then we will kick it off. All right, I would say we can go ahead and get started. So welcome everybody, happy Earth Week, and thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Chelsea Dresen, and I am a graduate assistant in the School of Education here at UWSP. I am also a Master of Natural Resources student and a doctoral student in our Educational Sustainability program. I have with me 5 other educational sustainability doctoral students, and I will let them introduce themselves in a minute when we launch into our panel discussion about careers in sustainability. First, though, I just want to talk a bit about our educational sustainability program. Our doctoral program is 100% online with a summer residency, and it's designed for working professionals from interdisciplinary fields in sustainability. The curriculum is intended to provide our students with the opportunity to actively engage in coursework, research, and professional practice in the field of sustainability. For the purpose of this degree, we define sustainability very broadly using 6 core principles. And those core principles are transformative learning, systems thinking, ecological thought, pluralistic democracy, diversity and social justice, and ethical action. So as you can imagine, we have a wide variety of students in our program who focus on very diverse areas related to sustainability in their research and practice. We have students working in all realms of sustainability, including the social, economic, and environmental domains. And we are so excited to learn more about a few of our students' careers in tonight's panel conversation. So again, thank you all for joining us to celebrate careers in sustainability during Earth Week. I have a list of prepared questions that I will be asking the panel for the first half of our time together. Our panelists will respond to these questions, and then at the end, we will open it up for you, the audience, to ask your questions. So let's get started with introductions. I am wondering if our panelists can please introduce yourself by telling us 1, where you currently live in the world, 2, by describing your educational background, and 3, by stating your current job title or occupation. So Ashley, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'd be happy to go first. So I am located in Janesville, Wisconsin, so near the bottom of the state. And my educational background, I have a bachelor's degree in geography from UW-Whitewater. I have a master's in natural resources from UW-Stevens Point, and I am currently a doctoral student completing my first year in the EDD for educational sustainability at UW-Stevens Point. My current job is that I work for the Wisconsin Center for Environmental Education, specifically for a program called KEEP. And KEEP stands for the K-12 Energy Education Program. And a main part of my role is helping run a national competition called Renew Our Schools. And so it's really exciting. I get K-12 schools all throughout the state to sign up for this competition. And they get an e-gauge installed on their school, which tells them how much electricity that they're using throughout the day. And then they enter a 6-week competition where they compete against other schools to reduce their energy consumption. And winning school gets a couple $1,000s to actually make energy efficient upgrades to their school. So I'm really happy with my job right now, and I'm happy to be here on this panel.
Great, thank you. Going down my screen, Monica, do you want to go next?
My name is Monica Bowman. I'm currently living in St. Louis, Missouri. I have a BS degree and an MAT degree in biology, emphasis in molecular biology. I just completed 32 years of teaching, retired at the end of last year at the secondary level. I've taught 7th grade and almost every single class that you can think of at the high school level. The reason I'm in this program is I'm hoping to train the new generation of teachers and also help we kind of recap curriculum as we know it. For those of you guys that are familiar with some of those upper level science courses that you guys got to go through at the secondary level. So that's why I'm here. And
Great.
I will be starting the cohort this summer.
Thanks, Monica. Abby, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Abby Pfisterer, and I'm currently in Alexandria, Virginia, which is just right outside of Washington, D.C. But you might notice I'm moving to Madison, Wisconsin in a couple of weeks here. So in between places at the moment. My educational background, I have undergraduate degrees in history, education, and political science with a teaching license in social studies for secondary education, and a master's in business administration. And now, like all of my wonderful colleagues, part of the educational sustainability program at UWSP. For the next 2 days, I am the manager of civic learning at the Smithsonian's National Museum of American History. And then in 2 weeks, I'll be shifting over to the Wisconsin Historical Society as their director of PK to 12 education. And really, in all of these roles in my work, it's leveraging museums as a place of dynamic education towards the better future. So using the past to inform the present and imagine a different future. Excited to be here.
Awesome. And we are so excited to have you in the great state of Wisconsin very soon. Jenny, do you want to go next?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Jenny Mitchell, and I am currently in Wapaka, Wisconsin, so not too far from Stevens Point. My education background is I have a Bachelor of Arts in Studio Art degree from the University of Wisconsin, Green Bay, and a Master's in Education from Aurora University in Illinois, and of course in the Educational Sustainability program. My current role, actually, I recently transitioned. I have been living abroad the last 15 years and been working in international schools around the world, teaching in American and IB schools, and I'm currently teaching for a teacher preparation program, also in international programs with candidates of teachers all over the world, both teachers who have been teaching for a while who are getting their licenses, and also teachers who are new to the profession, so career changers. So thanks for joining.
Great. And last but not least, Kim.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kim Hankins. I currently live in Crystal Lake, Illinois, which is at the tippy top of Illinois. I'm about 15 miles from the border of Wisconsin. My educational background is that I have a bachelor's in environmental policy from Hartwick College, which is in upstate New York. And I have a master's of science in environmental science from Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore. I currently work for McHenry County College. It's a 2-year community college here in town in Crystal Lake, and I'm their sustainability director. The Sustainability Center, we just celebrated their 10th birthday this month. So we just had a party actually yesterday. So that's kind of fun. I've done a lot of different work. Started out with the federal government, and I've done nonprofit work and done some international stuff, but higher education was missing. And now I've been here for a while and I love it. So I'm happy. And I'm also in the EDD program, of course. I'm in cohort 4 with Chelsea, and excited to be part of that process too. Just finishing up our 2nd year, right, Chelsea?
Yes, yes. It feels like it's been much longer, hasn't it?
Some days, yes.
Awesome. Okay, so let's jump into the real questions. And, like I said in the beginning, our program defines sustainability so broadly, and we consider social, economic, and the environmental domains of sustainability. So for the panelists, I'm wondering, how do you incorporate sustainability in your current job? And if you just want to raise your hand, we will go by whoever wants to answer first. Yeah, Jenny, go for it.
All right. So as I mentioned, I'm in education, both K through 12 and higher ed. And a lot of the work that I've been doing is incorporating the UN Sustainable Development Goals into the curriculum. So identifying what are some of the world's issues that we have, what does this look like in our local communities, and how can we, from a kindergarten level all the way up to 12th grade, integrate this into our learning and work towards finding solutions and building our learning that way.
I love that. That's really cool, Jenny. Abby.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm learning about my colleagues tonight too and what all the wonderful things they do. In the museum field, there's a lot of interest in effort in using history to help particularly young people, so students in K-12, better understand what's going on in the world around them, and using history as a place to model and practice and find inspiration for being equipped and have agency to shape the future you want to see. So that's where sustainability comes in for me. How do we use histories as catalysts for civic power and democratic engagement so that we can create a more sustainable future? So it's more on the social side, in the social domain of what sustainability is, but it's there as a way to help young people prepare and take action now and into the future for what they want to see.
Definitely very interesting. Ashley.
So my job entails a lot of energy education. So it's very like tangible, sustainable things. So our goal is making sure that K through 12 students are, energy literate. They know how to make things more energy efficient. They know the proper steps on where our energy comes from and how we can shift towards renewables and how climate change is impacted by the electricity that we use. And that is something that I've been striving for in my career, is that I wanted a job that I knew made a difference in climate change. So it's really inspiring to teach the next generations about energy consumption and production and how they can do it responsibly.
Absolutely. Kim?
When we set up the Sustainability Center, we created a strategic plan that focused on 3 areas, kind of mirroring the 3 areas of sustainability, but not quite as close as I would have liked, but that's okay. We do a green campus, green curriculum, and green community. So we're able to kind of pull in the sustainability aspects of each of those as we work through those. So we've done a bunch of different stuff in different areas. Green campus is pretty self-explanatory. The green curriculum has been the toughest for sure. And that's one of the reasons why I enrolled in this program, was to try and help that process move along a little bit. But the hardest part, and I know for a lot of us, is making those connections and making people understand that sustainability is definitely a part of all those areas.
Yes, and it looks like Dave agrees with you as fellow sustainability directors. Awesome. So in all of these positions that you all talked about, where you incorporate sustainability into your work, what do you see as the sustainability impact of your work? Yeah, Monica. You are on mute.
Sorry, one of the wonderful things about having been in the classroom is the number of students that once they're taught that yes, there are some issues when it comes to climate change and sustainability, but they can problem solve through it. Whether it is participating in a variety of different competitions, such as the one that Ashley has mentioned, or Lexus Eco Challenge, or Science Olympiad, that they can do independent research, that they actually can be empowered and they can actually make a positive difference. And the number of students that I have had over those years who are now actively engaged, whether it's in politics or in the sciences, or just in the community as parents, helping their schools become more sustainable. That to me was the gift that I received from teaching. So for any of you that are thinking about teaching, it's a lot of hard work, but you will magnify what you do 100 to 1,000-fold over the years. So that's why I'm here.
It's very inspiring. Yes, it is hard work, but I agree with everything that you said, Monica. Ashley.
I think with my role specifically, in the challenge that I lead with schools and them doing this energy conservation competition, it gives them place-based experiences where they get to analyze the actual environment that they're living in, how energy flows and works within their building itself. And then we actually have tangible data to show them at the end of how much energy they saved and the equivalent carbon emissions that they prevented from going out into the atmosphere, so that they can see the real world implications of their actions, which is really exciting. And then having that data to show to other schools, to be like, look at how much money you saved, look at how much impact this school made during this competition, to recruit more people to get on board with it as well. It's been really exciting.
And then Abby and your friend.
Sorry, my manager here came to join the show. No, it was just when I think about the impact, I think a lot about how the opportunities I get to work with students when we get to unpack where we are today, when we get to see the historical connections and the roots of the experiences that they see in their own lives, or the injustices or lack of access to institutions that they might see. Being able to kind of put some of these lived experiences or challenges that they experience in context, I think is really meaningful, because then it provides, what I've seen is that it provides not only a moment of identity for these young people within the larger, national story, national history, but it also provides a community, because they can see that they're not alone in their experiences, and that there are others who are wanting to do similar things or hoping for different things. And so I think there's whenever I see that sort of connective tissue come up through a learning program or through a visit to the museum, that's where I see the impact and where I can see a potential for sustainability going forward, even when they're this young, but usually it's older than this too. Yeah.
Thank you. And Kim.
For us, it's really, the impact I've really seen is with the community. So we do a number of things that really reach out to the community and kind of boost up the green economy as much as we can. And I like the way that we created, that we are a resource for the community, not only just the campus community, but the community at large. So, I mean, for example, we put out an annual document, just a recycling document. It's nothing too intense. It's just some basic information, but helping people that really want to make those choices in the right direction, or in a direction that they want to make them, and being able to work through it with them and help them get to the answers that they need is really, really, for me at least, very impactful.
Absolutely. Jenny.
Yeah, so the interesting thing about, I was really thinking about this and what that tangible impact is, but the interesting thing about international schools especially is that you have a very transient population of families who are either in politics, government, NGOs, some with the UN, all kinds of things. And a lot of times their parents hold high-level positions in some of these organizations. So that, when the students grow up and take on roles in their own countries, or perhaps they stay abroad in whatever country they're in, that they're going to potentially take on these higher level roles too. So I think it's really interesting to think about how are they going to take this knowledge, this learning, and then make important decisions later on in terms of a student in Zambia, for example, what might they decide to do for their country. So yeah, it's an interesting thing, because your community is the world, essentially, in the international schools.
Yes, and international education is something I'm particularly interested in, Jenny, so we should definitely chat. So this may have come out in the last question, but I am wondering if anybody has what is your favorite part or the most rewarding part of your job, if you didn't talk about it in the last question? If you have anything profound to share. Oh, Kim does.
My favorite part is when something clicks for somebody, and I know most of us know what I'm talking about. You're talking about a concept, you're talking about whatever it might be, and you just see that light bulb, and it just happened. So we took some students to a field trip to a waste transfer station and talked all about sort of the waste stream and what happens. And this one student, she goes, everybody should do this because they need to understand. Like, she just went on and on and on. It got me so excited. I've been doing this for a really long time, and so it takes a lot to get me really excited. But I'm so excited that she just got it, and that whole click thing just made me so happy. So that thing.
That story brought me joy too. So thank you, Kim. Jenny.
Just real quickly, I was just going to say the best thing is that kids are amazing and they have incredible hearts. And when you pose a problem to them and you teach them about that empathy and being able to see different perspectives and to see what kind of solutions they create oftentimes for other people, it's incredible. And it just warms your heart to see all the good in the world and what they're creating.
Definitely. And Ashley, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I have to piggyback off of what they said. The best part about my job is definitely like working with the kids, of actually like being in the school with them, showing them how to use the energy tools and like getting them to that aha moment of like, oh, if we actually did this, we could conserve this, or, you know, just making those connections with the students is definitely the best part.
I'm seeing a common theme here. Abby?
I'm going to roll with that. Exactly. I think it's when you see that spark amongst the students or the people, your learners. And my favorite time when we get that spark is when they get pushed out of their comfort zone, when there's a moment of discomfort with what they're learning, and then there's a connection and they resettle it right into what they already know and they integrate it. You know, there's a history lesson I often teach that talks about, well, to get nerdy, the US border moving west and people being integrated into the nation. And it's always this moment of they had no idea there were people living in that part of the nation. And then they get to think about our relationship to that part of the nation and how they work with this. And it's this moment of they feel guilty for a second for not knowing that information, but then they find it's okay to not know and be comfortable in their pursuit of learning. And that's where I get really excited. And when we can teach them that it's okay to keep learning and we don't expect you to know it all yet, you know, that's for me my favorite part when we can figure that out.
For those of us in the EDD program that have taken 904, that's what we would call transformative learning. Yes. Awesome. So switching gears a little bit. I'm excited for this question to hear what you all have to say. What do you consider the biggest challenge of working in the sustainability field, in your respective sustainability fields? Ooh, I saw a lot of hands go up really fast. Abby, is yours up or is it going back down?
I forgot to take it down, but it can be up.
Okay, go for it.
Helping, it's challenging when there's not a widespread understanding of what sustainability is, at least in my field. I have wonderful colleagues who have titles like Director of Sustainability, and they're amazing, but their work is really focused solely on that environmental domain, and it's great work. But then if I talk about sustainability from a more social side and talk about, let's have a history of this particular topic that it connects to maybe some social injustice that we see today, it gets written off as not sustainability. And so I find that challenge a lot of helping to educate some of my colleagues on what this could be and widening perspectives, but then also having to shape my own perspective to make sure that the work can live within our common vocabulary at the museum. It's so much to push so far, but to go even further, you know, how to find the way to bring them along with me. And so I think there's a perception that sustainability is really narrow when it is so much wider, and we have to think so much more about how we actually get there and the agency needed. And so I'm constantly running into that challenge, but it's a good challenge, right? Because it's an effort to educate myself, educate my colleagues along with the learners too.
Absolutely. Monica?
One of the biggest challenges that I faced was bringing everybody to the table, whether it meant their diverse backgrounds, socioeconomic, administrators who may know really nothing bless their hearts when it comes to science, community members that don't see the point of why a school should be sustainable, what is the actual inherent benefit. But once you explain things to them that there is an inherent benefit and there is hope, there are things that we can actually do that are cost effective, time effective, that will actually make a positive difference. Then when those light bulbs go off, things actually happen. So that is the reward as well. So the difficulty is bringing everybody to the table, getting everybody to actually have those conversations. But then once those light bulbs go off, as everybody has mentioned before, things actually happen. And that's the benefit.
Yeah, Kim?
Well, I certainly echo what both of those folks have already said. Certainly not having a good understanding of definition of sustainability leads into my biggest frustration, which is just that sustainability is not part of the decision-making process where I work. And it's a constant fight to have it be part of the decision-making process for everything from what are we going to buy for, orientation to, really big decisions about our energy management. So it's a constant struggle. It's not something I can just sort of do once. It's an everyday thing, but it makes it interesting, that's for sure.
Yeah, for me, I really am piggybacking off some of the things that you guys said. It's just the initial, like, getting people to buy into the inclusion of sustainability, especially in K through 12 schools. I mean, our teachers have been hit hard with COVID and everything, and they are struggling a lot just to keep their heads above water. And then I come in, I'm like, hey, let me help you incorporate energy education. And they're like, I don't have time for that. That's not relevant to me. I don't see how it's correlates. I'm barely keeping it up as it is. And so it's definitely a struggle to get to people to see the value in incorporating place-based energy and sustainability education into their coursework, into their classrooms and their curriculum. So that's definitely something that's been a struggle. People don't have the bandwidth to add that to their plate, even though it should just already be incorporated.
Yes, definitely. And Jenny.
Similar to what the others were saying, I would say having to work within the parameters of where you are, whether it be the cultural context or the curriculum, or there are going to be things that get in the way, and there are going to be obstacles and things that you have to work around or find creative solutions to. And it feels like sometimes you're taking a couple steps back, but I think that's part of the skill building too, and introducing that to our learners. But I would say those obstacles tend to be the greatest challenge.
So I have one last question for everybody, and we hope to promote this panel on social media or through different channels. And so for anyone who might watch in the future, I'm wondering, or our audience members here, what is one piece of advice that you would give to up and coming sustainability professionals? Yeah, Monica.
Never, ever give up. Just find a creative way, because by definition, every problem must have a solution. You just need to think outside the box.
And Ashley.
Yeah, my piece of advice is that I've spent the last 5 to 8 years trying to find a job in sustainability, because there were none, and it was really difficult, and they were hard to get, and they were very competitive. And now I'm just so excited that there's just so many jobs out there in climate change and sustainability. But for those that may not want to go into necessarily a sustainability career, they want to do something else with their life, but they're passionate about sustainability or climate change or want to include that, that's okay. Everybody can help incorporate sustainability into their workplace without having to have the title of sustainability director or sustainability, chair or whatever it is. And there's a really excellent organization called Project Drawdown, and they have created a really good guidebook for how anybody in any job can start to incorporate climate change and sustainability practices into their workplace. And I'll drop the link in the chat to it. And I just I've been hunting for the perfect sustainability job forever. And I just wish I would have realized I can make my own sustainability job wherever I work. It might not be easy, but I can do it if I'm passionate enough about it.
I love that. And I'm definitely going to check out this resource. So thank you. Abby.
Yeah, I think I have I really echo what Ashley says. When I saw your question, Chelsea, about up and coming sustainability professionals, I wasn't really sure who that was necessarily, because I probably wouldn't have thought of myself in that way maybe 5 years ago. So I think it's more like what Ashley's saying, allowing yourself to see the connections to sustainability, no matter what you do, or if you find that they're not there, finding ways to make connections to it, because any career really can, but also should, I would think, be looking for how do we create this sustainable future that we're looking for. And in that way, finding the courage to allow yourself to say, I am a sustainability professional, even if I do X for work or whatever it is, or I study this. I don't think I'm alone in feeling like huge imposter syndrome coming into this program at the very beginning. Like, I don't know, do I get to be a sustainability professional? But then realizing like, yes, of course, we're all doing good work together. So allowing that kind of shifting of definition, who does this work and who gets to do this work is really, I think it's everybody.
Yes, and you are definitely not alone, Abby, but something that I have told multiple students is that there's room for everyone in sustainability. Like, so just echoing what you all are saying. Kim.
It definitely, I mean, similar things like what Monica was saying about not giving up. This tends to be a career where you hear a lot of no's, at least it has been for me. And so there needs to be this sort of level of perseverance and confidence, and kind of what goes along with that, that someone gave me this advice a long time ago, which really helps a lot, is to perfect your elevator speech. Like, you're not going to be running into people all the time that want to hear a 45-minute discussion on climate change. They want to hear 2 minutes, and they want to know what it means to them, and that's it. So perfecting that elevator speech, being able to have that little conversation with that elected official or that principal or whoever it is might be, that you have that little few minutes to capture. I highly recommend you spend some time thinking about what is the message, because I found myself caught in those situations where, like, oh yeah, I really want to tell all this person 15,000 things, and you sort of scramble around and it doesn't end up working very well. But it is a career of perseverance, that is for sure. But it's a really, really rewarding one.
That's great advice, Kim, about the elevator speech. Last but not least, Jenny.
I would say find something you're really passionate about, and it might not have a title. Similar to what Ashley was saying, it might not have a title or a definition, but find that concept, and the passion that you give off is going to impact the people around you. So find something you like to do, and I think that will kind of guide you in terms of where you want to be.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, all of our panelists, for answering all of my questions. I have no more questions for you. So I am wondering if anybody in the audience has a question that they want to ask. Anybody on our panel or our whole panel? And if not, that's okay. All right, no questions. So I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for joining us tonight to celebrate careers in sustainability and Earth Week and our educational sustainability program and all of the things. So thank you to our panelists. Thank you to our audience members. I lied, there's a question, let's back up. But still, thank you, everybody. So the question is, I have been thinking a lot about the sustainability of the capitalist system. Can any of you share your thoughts? That is interesting.
Can it be sustainable? I don't know. That's my thoughts. That's a loaded question. It's a wicked problem. Unless it takes a major overhaul, I don't really personally see how that can be a sustainable system.
I think I agree with Ashley there. It's in terms of capitalism in its current form, I think that's a real challenge that we've got to address. And when we think about sustainability, the amount of resources that are consumed, the way that we think about consumption, and the way that the markets work in terms of just there's a tendency to want to kind of accumulate as much as we possibly can, right? Whereas in a sustainability, we think a lot about more equitable distribution of resources or access or information, and capitalism might not necessarily line up with that, at least in how it is currently being practiced. So I think that there needs to be a discussion about where those disconnects are and how we move forward in a way that works within our current context towards what the context is in a more sustainable way that we want it to be. Because we can't just get rid of it all at once, right? But we have to find a way that it might be a bit more sustainable.
Jamie, this is the way that I approached it when it came to members of the community that I used to teach with that were capitalists, for lack of a better term. Energy saving. If you take a look at it from, imagine what you could do if you had a hybrid or an electric vehicle, you would be making more money, and to boot, you would actually be saving the planet. So you can actually turn capitalism upon itself by actually showing that, yeah, you can still be capitalist, but you know what? You can actually save the planet in the same process. So that's a way to kind of play a side game with them if you need to. Based on that question, it sounds like that is something that you might have to do. I don't know.
To echo a little bit what Monica said, I think when you look at certain industries that have the potential to make some impact, and like I said, I'm kind of immersed in recycling at the moment, and recycling works very well when oil prices are very, very high, and people want, to make that recycling commodity work better for them. So the commodities market, and now I'm starting to dip my toe into the energy commodities area as well, and learning a little bit more about how that can apply. And there's a lot of money to be made in that arena. So it's interesting to see the overlap. I can't really speak to the answer to that question, but I think there's some areas definitely that are ripe for some more conversation.
Yeah, go ahead, Monica.
Dave, you brought up something really important with the circular economy model. There is a lot of movement in that direction internationally, as well as local groups. So I think that is also a way that we can take capitalism and turn it upon itself. A little bit of psychology, because people are doing well financially that believe in the circular economy model. So that was a good point. Thank you.
Do we have any other questions? Okay, I say with hesitancy in case another question pops up.
Jamie and you, why did you show up? What is your interest in sustainability? Yes, I'm a teacher. I can't stop being a teacher. Sorry. Are you there? Okay.
Who are you asking? I missed that part.
Either you, or Jamie, who else is in the audience.
Well, I'm Jamie, and I'm the one who asked about the capitalism question. And so the reason I'm here is my work has been primarily about victimization, and been thinking a lot about how wasteful the capitalist system is, in terms of what we're doing to the planet, but also what we're doing to other human beings, and how the sustainability of life it's all tied in together. And so that's why I'm here, to hear more about I guess how we can start bridging some of these what seem like disconnected or unconnected efforts. And I don't know how I'm a problem solver, and the way I problem solve is gather information about how other people are solving problems. So I don't know if any of that made sense, but that's why I'm here. And it seems like part of the solution is really about an even distribution of power and control over resources. And right now we're, seeing a wider and wider and wider gap in who has access to power and who has access to the control over every facet of our existence.
Jamie, you are not alone in this topic, and I'm really glad you actually brought that up, because that's the beauty of the EDD program at UW-Stevens Point, is that so many sustainability programs look at it just from an environmental standpoint, and this program does an excellent job in bringing the societal level and the economic level into it as well, and really tying in the social justice impacts and how sustainability ties into that, and how we need system transformation to make a more sustainable future, not just for the environment, but for the people that live in it, so that everyone can prosper as well. So basically the pitch that you just shared was like what the whole program is about. So that was really interesting. You're not alone. People are working on this.
That's awesome. I need to get LinkedIn, like not the app, but linked into the conversation.
Go ahead, Monica.
Jamie, are you familiar with a video program that's called Kurzgesagt?
No.
Sorry, I cannot anglicize it. It's a organization that creates videos. And one of the most recent ones that they did is that there is positive news when it comes to climate change. That might be something you may want to watch just to put yourself in a good spot. And then if you like the conversation here, granted, I haven't even been on campus yet, but you've got people here from cohort 4, cohort 5, Emily, Dave, sounds like they've been there for a little bit longer. Correct me if I'm wrong. Go and talk to them, because we cannot afford to have your generation give up. We can't. So find people from this group and go talk to them. They probably will be great people to have a lunch with or a breakfast with. So that's what I would suggest. That's what we did. My place was a favorite hangout for kids who just needed to just talk. So go find people at this campus. Don't lose hope. We are going to solve it.
Yeah, and I remember Kim mentioning earlier that you don't often run into people that want to talk 45 minutes about climate change. We are those people that you run into that want to talk 45 minutes about climate change. Any other comments? Yeah, Yui.
Oh, hi, everyone. My name is Yue Li. I'm currently at Cornell University. I teach massive open online courses on environmental and sustainability education for educators, environmental professionals, volunteers, and a lot of the diverse group of people from around the world. And actually, I will join the faculty of the School of Education this fall. So I'm super excited, and I'm so glad to meet some of you here. And I look forward to meeting some of you this June. So I'm very interested in this topic, and through my teaching and the research, I would like to look forward to learning more about your work.
We are so happy you could join us tonight. Thank you for popping on, and you should meet all of us this summer. I'm looking at my screen. We will all be there this summer, and we're so excited to meet you.
Oh, that's great. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, it's my nighttime here, so I'm not available to turn on the camera, but I will see you in person in June.
Sounds great. Thank you. Any other comments from the audience, panelists, anybody?
I just want to thank you all for doing this. I really appreciate it and think it's great for our program. It's great to hear kind of everyone's background. Dave's over there waving his hands a lot. So yeah, we're really happy that you were all able to do this, and it makes me happy and excited just that our program's doing good work and you're all doing good work. And yes.
Yes, I'll just echo that. Thank you, everybody. I hope you enjoy the rest of your night. And thanks for hopping on, sharing your thoughts. Love learning more about everybody, and see you this summer. And thanks, Jamie and Yui, for joining us in the audience. And Dave, sorry.